Hello and welcome back to another episode of Power Rangers Lore. Today we're talking about the legendary Zord Serpentera. Now, if you guys look on the Wikipedia page for Serpentera, it shows you how to pronounce it, Serpentera, but apparently a lot of people mispronounce it with Serpentera. I don't know who those people are, but congratulations to you. You now know how to pronounce it correctly. Um, so, what is the history of Serpentera? Well, we don't know much where it came from. We only know that it was used long ago and that essentially Lord Zedd has used it ever since. Now, in the comic book universe, we're probably going to get a lot more, which the comic book universe is separate from the main canon storyline. Now, from the comic book universe, we know that Lord Zedd now was once the Supreme Guardian, Zolfram, and friend of Zordon. Now, and he was an Altarian. Now, we might think right there that the legendary Zord of Serpentera probably came from the Altars and was upgraded and increased with power as time went on. And that's probably a good idea and assumption there. But in the true canon universe, we have no idea. We only know that Lord Zedd would be watching over the Earth and realize that half the Rangers would be leaving to attend a Swedish peace conference. Now, that's also the same episode, essentially, why Jason, Zach, and Trini leave the show, though it's for other reasons entirely, not just because they were joining a peace conference. That's a whole nother story. But we'll go on from there. So, essentially, the Rangers need a way to basically transfer the powers over, and they are told by Zordon to head to the deserted planet. And basically, if they don't, they're going to have issues with Lord Zedd attacking them, and they'll be down 3 Rangers. So, what they do is they head to the other planet. Lord Zedd sees this and goes, I need to attack them right now. Now, the Rangers teleported across the galaxy, so near instant travel there, and Lord Zedd is right behind them. Now, Lord Zedd would try to annihilate them several times with the raw power of Serpentera shooting out lightning from its mouth and just causing massive destruction. Billy would be able to basically go, hey, isn't that the sort of light that we're looking for in that statue's hand? Let's go grab it. Well, Jason, using past cuts, uses his Red Dragon Thunder Zord to essentially fight off the Zord of Serpentera along with the Thunder Zord assault team and gets their butts kicked. Like, it's a brief encounter, like super brief, because basically Serpentera is just destroying them. Essentially, in the size comparison, Serpentera is like a massive Titan boa, and the Zords are basically human-sized. If you don't know what a Titan boa is, this thing is a massive snake of long prehistoric past. This thing was so big, it was bigger than a school bus, almost. So, like, just think if you fight in a school bus, you're not going to win against that. Especially when you're just like punching it and it's going to run you over. Now, Lord Zedd has one major issue with this, is that it runs out of power very quickly. And he has to call off the attack to charge up the attack again. Now, after basically they return home, and Rocky, Adam, and Aisha are tied up to a tree. They basically saved, blah, 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 throughout the episode. And basically they're used to transfer the red, the black, and the yellow Ranger powers over to Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, who would then take it over from there. Now, Lord Zedd would triumph again, and he'd always have these several times of having the problems of running out of power, but he would come to try to, like, understand, I've got a new idea, and would attempt to have more fights going on. But each time would always come to failure. And Lord Zedd would get very upset and frustrated and kick in the cockpit, screaming and ranting and basically blaming everybody but himself for the issues. Now, eventually, time would go on, and the Zord would return several different times, always basically doing great damage. Now, in one such battle would be Rocky trying to fight in his Red Dragon Thunder Zord. Basically, what happened was Serpentera would immediately arrive after the Thunder Megazord slays the monster and rips it, basically just fly down, swipes it out, knocks it apart, and Rocky tries to fight it off by himself, and even summons Tor to counter out the attack. and again gets his butt rocked. However, he basically enters Tor in a warrior mode armor, and again, so Serpentera has like goes like, oh, that's cool, and basically steps on him, and basically just starts like crushing him, and even transforming back into like a shuttle mode. Now, this does cause half of its energy to like drain while attempting to like destroy him completely, and they're forced to return to the moon again. But like it shows like this Zord is not easily defeated by any conventional means of the Power Rangers, and they're just having such a hard time. However, the greatest weakness is still the power source, and that's where all of a sudden Zedd sees an opportunity in the Bukala. Yes, what is a Bukala? That is an alien race. It looks like a Kabuki warrior, but are overly comic. Well, Kabuki warriors are already comical to begin with, but basically just a massive Kabuki head with little arms and legs. He's basically comic relief and not much there. However, it has a lightning diamond power source that would basically give Lord Zedd infinite power. He attempts to capture several times Bukala, but it fails. And eventually they come with a new scheme and trick him, and Zedd creates a bad Bukala in order to switch out things, but in the end it fails. Now, that was kind of the last time Lord Zedd would use Serpentera in such a manner, and he would later be seen using it along with Rita on their first honeymoon, where they basically tie a banner in the back of its tail and says "just married" and fly away. That's basically it. Like, he's used it again on a second honeymoon attempt, but the battery gets drained out before they can even leave. Now, Serpentera is also used a few more times on like little minor excursions just like this. He's also used to escape the moon from the Machine Empire. And a lot of people are going like, I don't know why he would just fight him off. But again, the Machine Empire is vast and has many, many different fighters. And they'd probably be swarmed before he even got like he'd probably destroy a bunch of the ships, but in the end they'd probably swarm and kill him. So he was going like, we need to get out of here as quick as possible. I can't deal with this. We haven't figured out the power source yet. So it would seen. Now, it would not be seen long after until essentially the Wild Force episode of Forever Red, where we find out that it was buried on the moon. We don't know why, how, or who buried it at all. It's not really explained. I expect we'll eventually learn something in comics, or as later shows talk about like what happened to it. We're getting a lot more in the newer series with Hasbro's basically taking old lore and combining it with new stuff, especially with the Morphing Masters, and giving more explanations behind things, which I really like. So I hope we get more involvement with the Serpentera. Now, Serpentera would be buried under the dirt of the moon. General Vengex, which I did a video earlier this week, would basically, in his cohorts of the last remnants of the Machine Empire, would dig it up and reactivate it, giving it a much better power core that would keep it going for a lot longer. And essentially, they would do battle against the last 10 Red Rangers of the series up to that date. However, it would be destroyed by the inside out by the Wild Force Ranger known as Cole Evans. And it would, in the end, explode and also take Vengex with him. Now, that would be the end of Serpentera. In other series, we have basically references where Jason references Serpentera to Evox's massive Chimera Zord, basically going, oh man, this thing's the Chimera Zord's way worse because it has multiple heads. I think that's pretty dumb, but hey, what do I know? But again, the Zord of the Chimera Zord was a lot bigger too, so it's probably about equal size, but it had multiple heads, but also was destroyed in the same episode it came out. So it's hard to compare that power levels there. Now, also what was going on, Serpentera is also mentioned in the Dino Thunder series, when basically Tommy is talking about in the post-credits episode, the history, legacy of power, where basically he just starts telling the other people about the history of the Rangers and where they came from. That's essentially it. Now, in the comic book, it's very different. Lord Draken and essentially has Serpentera, acquired it, and essentially wipes out a bunch of the different Rangers at the time, and ends up like basically nearly conquering everything. Now, that would change as the time is reset. We don't know what happened after that, but that's it. We know that Serpentera is going to show up soon in the comics itself. I know he does show up already playing out in the Go-Go Power Rangers issue of 32. Basically the same storyline, but that was it. But we don't know if any other futures what's going on there. I have a high expectation that we will see more of it coming into the later issues of Mighty Morphin, having to do with more of Lord Zedd's past and Zekros and the Altarians. So we'll see much more on this Zord as time goes on, but we have to wait for the comics to put them out. Now, it is the biggest Zord of that era, and I believe it's the most powerful as well of all history. Like, none have contested. Like, it survived all those episodes and was able to destroy entire planets. Now, no other Zord has the ability to do so, as far as we know. But, again, we have not seen the Rangers ever use anything else. Now, it can go into space and space travel. It has unknown abilities of speed, going faster than light, and possibly even faster. Incredible. I don't know what I just said there. Probably even faster. It has long-range communication, just normal flight, lightning, basically powers, and when it's struck by white lightning, it increases its power. It has mouth beams and a warrior mode transformation, so it can go from a normal dragon, which is basically its normal form was like a Chinese dragon, which I forgot to mention, but I figure in the little clips behind in the video would show more in the edit. But hey, what do I know? Now it's able to basically hold up and destroy anyone it wants. But hey, in its warrior mode, it does have lightning breath. It also has Mega Mouth Lightning Stream. Yes, that's what it's called. Yep, Mega Mouth Lightning Stream. It also has a Black Hole Blast. And technically, it could possibly combine with other Zords, but we don't know for certain. I would like to see that, and I would like to see a lot more of that's going on there. Now, its weaknesses, of course, are the high fuel consumption, or basically it just runs out of power way too fast, no matter what it was. Now, General Venjek said he fixed it with his new plutonium core, so that's no longer a factor. I think that's just a weak plot point. But again, we don't know for certain. It lasted less than like 5 minutes in the episode. It does have speed limits, but again, I doubt it has like I think the speed limit is only when it's on planet's surface, not when it's in space. And it has a vulnerability in its mouth. Basically, you fly down its gullet, and you just blow it up from the inside, which is what Cole did. So, that's about it for this episode of Serpentera. I hope you now know more about Serpentera and enjoy this episode. I know it's a little bit of a hot mess at first, but hey, we got to go from there. Again, I hope to see more about Serpentera. I hope you guys too. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. Do you want to see Serpentera going on? Do you want to be of an Eltari past, or do you want something darker? Something more twisted? Well, it's up to you guys. Have a go, and may the power protect you always. Thank you.